Maharashtra is witnessing a full-blown political crisis after the rebellion by Shiv Sena's Eknath Shinde, and now it seems that the Uddhav Thackeray government is in a minority and we will soon have a new government in Maharashtra. But how did we reach here and what exactly happened in the last couple of days? In this video, I'll try and declutter the events of the last couple of days, as well as we'll take a close look at what might happen next. So make sure to watch this video till the very end, and obviously please make sure to give your suggestions, your comments, and whatever your thoughts are regarding the current crisis in Maharashtra. With that aside, let's get straight into the issue. First, we need to understand how did this all begin. It started in the year 2019 when you had assembly elections in Maharashtra shortly after the Lok Sabha elections. Now, in these assembly elections, the BJP as well as the Shiv Sena had a pre-poll alliance, meaning they fought the alliance together. When the results were announced, none of the political parties in this election, the BJP, the Shiv Sena, the Congress or the NCP and the other smaller parties, none of them managed to form a majority, which meant that obviously two or three political parties had to come into an alliance and then form the government in Maharashtra. Now, since the Shiv Sena and the BJP had a pre-poll alliance, it was widely expected that the two would form the government in Maharashtra. But just when it seemed that the two would form the government, Shiv Sena walked out of the alliance because it was, it wasn't happy with what it was being offered by the BJP in terms of power sharing. So it decided to walk out of the alliance and instead join hands with the NCP and the Congress, which remember are the ideological rivals of the Shiv Sena. At the end of the day, the Shiv Sena, remember, is a regional political party that sort of believes in hardcore Hindu nationalism along with Marathi sub-nationalism, and so does the BJP. Remember, it also believes in Hindu nationalism, so there is a natural bonhomie between the two, and that was on display before the elections. But once the election results were announced, the two parted their ways and the Shiv Sena along with the NCP and the Congress formed the Maha Vikas Aghadi or the MVA government in Maharashtra. Now, what exactly happened in Maharashtra? Remember, from Thane, we have the Shiv Sena has an MLA called Eknath Shinde. He is considered to be very close to Uddhav Thackeray and in many ways is pretty much high up in the Shiv Sena hierarchy. Maybe after Uddhav Thackeray, Aditya Thackeray, and maybe then you have Shinde on the number 3 position. So he's very senior in the government, has a lot of clout and has a significant following in Maharashtra's Thane, that is from where he's an MLA. Now, Eknath Shinde, remember, in an overnight coup of sorts, rebelled in the Shiv Sena. And he's not alone. He has the support of now almost 40 odd Shiv Sena MLAs. Remember, the Shiv Sena has a total of 55 MLAs in the Maharashtra Assembly. And Eknath Shinde now has the support of, if reports are to be believed, close to at least 40 Shiv Sena MLAs, which means the majority of the Shiv Sena MLAs are with Eknath Shinde. They, remember, at the beginning, they wanted Uddhav Thackeray to walk out of the MVA alliance because their argument was that, look, these are our ideological rivals. There's no point in being in alliance with them. Let's join hands with the BJP or let's join hands with people who believe in our ideology. So that is what these guys wanted in the beginning. But now, it seems to be a contest of who is the real Shiv Sena. The Eknath Shinde camp believes that they represent the real Shiv Sena because they have the numbers, and then you have someone like the current Chief Minister Uddhav Thackeray who believes that he's his party or whatever numbers are left with him, they represent the real Shiv Sena. But that argument aside, remember, these 40 odd MLAs have rebelled. Which clearly means that the government does not enjoy the support of majority of MLAs, which means that the Uddhav Thackeray government is literally in a minority in the assembly, and which would necessitate a floor test in the assembly and maybe formation of a new government in Maharashtra. So what is likely to happen over the next couple of days? See, the Eknath Shinde camp has a lot of options on the table. Number one, it can ally with the BJP. Remember, the BJP is the single largest party in the Maharashtra Legislative Assembly. Had they fought the elections alone, many people believe they would have emerged victorious, but they compromised because they had an alliance with the Shiv Sena, and that is why the BJP feels so betrayed, and that is why you would see that every now and then it tries to avenge, that last-minute ditch by the Shiv Sena. But that is a story for another day. So one option that Eknath Shinde has is that he can merge his faction with the BJP And since Eknath Shinde has the support of two-thirds of Shiv Sena MLAs, remember they would not invite disqualification under the anti-defection law. So this is very important to understand that if they merge with the BJP, they're completely safe, no disqualification proceedings. So the government would be in power till the end of the current session, which is, remember, the elections took place in 2019. So they would be in power till 2024. So again, when the elections would take place after the 2024 Lok Sabha elections, then there would be Legislative Assembly in Maharashtra as well. The second option that Eknath Shinde has obviously is to ally with some other party. Now definitely NCP and Congress are off the radar, because the prime grouse of Eknath Shinde has been that Uddhav Thackeray has allied with his ideological rivals, the NCP and the Congress, and that the Eknath Shinde camp, rather Eknath Shinde in particular, believes is a betrayal of Bal Thackre's legacy. He has been calling Uddhav Thackeray to realize, the true ideology that they were committed to and come back to that ideological fold. So one thing is very clear, that Eknath Shinde will not ally with the NCP, not with the Congress. So who remains? There is Maharashtra Navnirman Sena, remember, which again, led by Raj Thackeray, it again, remember, claims to be the inheritor of Bal Thackre's legacy. In fact, it is again a different story, that there has been a contest between Uddhav Thackeray and Raj Thackeray, and Uddhav Thackeray has bested Raj Thackeray, at least on the electoral front, and that is why the Uddhav Thackre's Shiv Sena is seen as the real inheritor of Bal Thackre's legacy. But again, that is a story for a different day. So one option for the Eknath Shinde camp is obviously to ally with Raj Thackeray's MNS, but even then, remember, it would need the support of the BJP to come to power, right? But what the BJP can do is that it can provide, say, external support to the MNS and to the Eknath Shinde camp. The BJP would say that we don't want to be a part of the government, but we are willing to extend you support from the outside. This is something that has happened in the past, so cannot be ruled out. Happened in the past. By saying that it has happened in the past, I do not mean that the BJP has supported some faction and the MNS from the outside. This whole tradition of supporting governments from the outside is what I'm referring to. That has happened in the past, so this is again something that is very much possible on the cards. Another option for the Eknath Shinde camp is that they can claim to be the real Shiv Sena. They can approach the election commission and argue before the commission that, look, we have the support of the majority MLAs. Uddhav Thackeray's government is in a minority. They do not have the required number of MLAs. They do not represent the real Shiv Sena. We are the real Shiv Sena, so please accord us the Shiv Sena symbol and the Shiv Sena party name to us. Now that is a legal battle, remember, that will play out in the election commission, and it is very likely that the one who loses out in this legal battle will approach the Supreme Court for remedy. So it's a long story, and it will go ahead if and when the Eknath Shinde camp approaches the election commission. So that is again also a distinct possibility. What is also possible, another third option, remember, for the Eknath Shinde camp is to simply bargain with Uddhav Thackeray. Remember, Eknath Shinde has kept his cards very close to his chest. He's not eager to join hands with the BJP. He's not eager to join hands with any other political party. At least it does not seem that the man is in a hurry, right? So he's been simply going from one hotel to the other, first in Surat, then in Guwahati. God knows which BJP ruled state would be next. But we do know that he's trying to bargain as much as possible, right? Remember, in the beginning, there was an offer from the Uddhav Thackeray camp that we are willing to reconsider whether we want to stay in the MVA if these rebel MLAs come to the Shiv Sena's fold. So we do not know what kind of bargaining, what kind of exchange of money, resources will take place. Politics is a dirty game, so we don't know what kind of backroom talks are happening at the moment, but everything is possible in this game. Another distinct possibility, and a very interesting one, is related to the current hearing in the Supreme Court. The next hearing will take place on July 12, and this is on a disqualification petition against 16 MLAs, which is, has been submitted to the Deputy Speaker of the Maharashtra Assembly, Narhari Zarwal from the NCP. Now, the Shiv Sena claims that on June 25, there was a meeting called by Uddhav Thackeray, and 16 rebel MLAs failed to turn up for the meeting, and therefore disqualification proceedings should be initiated against them. Now, remember, it was this petition for the disqualification of these 16 MLAs against which the MLAs have moved the Supreme Court of India. And there the Supreme Court has not exactly stopped the Deputy Speaker from deciding on these petitions. But as of now, the hearing will take place on July 12th. So should the Supreme Court decide that the Deputy Speaker has the power to decide on the merits or demerits of this disqualification petition, that, remember, will have huge repercussions, because if the power is granted, then we are almost certain that the Deputy Speaker will disqualify the 16 MLAs. Now this would be a huge blow to the remaining rebel MLAs. You ask why? Because see, in politics everyone wants to continue in power for as long as possible. Nobody wants to fight elections again and again. Nobody wants to fight in elections later in 2024, 2 years back in 2022, right? So that is the thing. Politicians want to stay in power for as long as possible, and these rebel MLAs do not want to lose their membership of the assembly, right? And for that to happen, the Deputy Speaker should be prevented, from their point of view, from disqualifying them from the assembly. So it remains to be seen what the Supreme Court decides. Currently there is a petition seeking removal of the Deputy Speaker itself, and that is what the MLAs are saying, that while there is a resolution pending against the disqualification of the Deputy Speaker, how can he decide on our disqualification? So this is a legal argument that will have to be, remember, resolved in the Supreme Court. And it is only after the Supreme Court has given a verdict, a judgment, that we'll get to know that the Deputy Speaker, will he get the power to, take a decision on the disqualification petitions. And if those disqualification petitions go ahead, then we are certain that these 16 MLAs would be disqualified. The remaining rebel MLAs then will have to choose between getting disqualified or coming back to the Uddhav Thackeray's Shiv Sena and sort of withdrawing their rebellion. Interesting as it may sound, this is how politics works. So all these four options are on the table currently, and it's very, very interesting. And we'll see over the next couple of days, as Eknath Shinde reveals his cards, as to what exactly does he want. Does he want to ally with the BJP? Is he bargaining for some plum portfolios with the BJP? Is he just buying time to bargain with Uddhav Thackeray? Is he buying time to stake claim to be the real Shiv Sena, engineer a split in the Shiv Sena? So we'll have to see what exactly happens, but as of now, he's in a very sweet spot. Remember, he has the support of 37 plus Shiv Sena MLAs, which is above the 2/3 majority mark. Remember, under the anti-defection law, if 2/3 members of a political party rebel, if they merge with some other political party, switch their loyalties, then they do not invite disqualification, as long as the number of legislators rebelling or merging with other political parties above the 2/3 mark. In this case, remember, Shiv Sena has a total of 55 MLAs, and Eknath Shinde has a support of 37 plus MLAs, which is above the 2/3 mark. So they're in a very sweet spot, in a very safe position as well. So we'll have to see what exactly happens next. But whatever happens, as passive audiences, there will be a lot of drama, possibly a lot of entertainment if you see politics that way. So yeah, we'll see what happens next. And obviously I'm here to declutter if there is anything complicated. I hope you've been able to take at least something away from this video, and if you have, that's great. And please do leave your thoughts in the comments, or if you have any interesting insights to share with us, do drop them in the comments, and I'll definitely go through them as well. But that's it. That's how much I have for you in this video, and I hope I've been able to inject some sense into this current political crisis, and I'll see you in the next one.